What goes on at post-season testing? I'll tell you in 8 seconds. I've just come back from Abu Dhabi post-season testing for Formula One, and I think there's probably a whole lot of stuff that you have no idea about that you might find interesting. For a start, it's 2 days. We finished the race obviously on Sunday evening, and then Monday is nothing happening. Come Tuesday, the teams arrive back at the track for Tuesday and Wednesday testing. Now, there is only one car per team, although there are on average 1.8 drivers per team. And when I say 1.8, we didn't have Lewis Hamilton, we didn't have Kevin, we didn't have Daniel Ricciardo, and of course Nico Hülkenberg and Robert Kubica have left the F1 competition. So let me run through who we did have. We had Valtteri Bottas driving on day 1, and on day 2, George Russell. Here is George in the tunnel heading out onto the track at the Abu Dhabi circuit with the number 63 on the back of the car. For Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel tested day 1. This was a shot taken in the evening with that lovely pink sky for the sunset. And on day 2, we had Charles Leclerc, who ended up going home early because, of course, he had a bingle and the car was retired earlier than the 6 p.m. finish. They come out on track at 9 a.m, finish at 6 p.m. Lunch-wise, it's whenever the teams want to go. There's no set lunch hour. Max Verstappen tested day 1 for Red Bull, day 2, Alex Albon. Esteban Ocon, it was his first time in the Renault, so he got to do both days in the number 31. On day 1, we had Lando Norris for McLaren. Day 2, Carlos Sainz. Sergio Perez was out for Racing Point on day 1, and on day 2, Lance Stroll. On day 1 for Haas, we had Romain Grosjean, and day 2, the reserve driver, Pietro Fittipaldi. Daniel Kvyat drove day 1 for Toro Rosso, and Pierre Gasly was in the car on the Wednesday. Getting down towards the bottom of the list here, Kimi Raikkonen tested on Tuesday and Giovinazzi on Wednesday. At Williams, George Russell tested on the Tuesday along with Roy Nissany. First time I've met this particular fellow. He's an Israeli driver. And on Wednesday, the full day, Nicholas Latifi, the new signing for Williams. So this is what the paddock looks like on a normal race day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But come testing Tuesday, as you can see, there are containers and crates everywhere. And when you look down the paddock, the whole place is filled with a lot of this gear that's been packed up. Because they're only running one car, they don't need all of the kit. So a lot of it gets packed up on Sunday and Monday. This is the paddock. As you can see, Ferrari crates in the foreground here. This overhead shot shows that there is a pathway down the middle of the paddock where the forklifts tend to move, and you've got to be very careful because there is heavy machinery coming and going, and no patrons really. I think I saw maybe half a dozen guests, and I'm not even sure how they got in there. But there are crates everywhere, stuff being packed up, ready to send back to where it came from. Out in pit lane, lots of screens cover the front of the garages. It's all secret squirrel stuff. Now, I did find out that the first hour of testing, the teams are allowed to run new pieces of equipment on the car. But after that, they can only run equipment that's been run previously in the season. But every time a car comes out of the garage, they move those screens back, and every time a car goes into the garage, they come across Quick Smart. So you don't get quite the access that you would normally get, say, during a session, FP1, 2 or 3, where you can actually see into the garage and take shots of drivers' eyes. Out on the track, there is no one in the stands. Those stands are closed. So it's a pretty soulless place. And the other thing is there's very little signage on the track. This stuff's permanent signage that you can see here. But if you get out to the far reaches of the track where you had big billboards, they've all been pulled down. So you get a much cleaner shot in many instances. Not that I went out to the far ends of the track because there is no transport. Normally, certainly during racing and qualifying sessions and practice sessions, we have a shuttle bus that takes us around because it can be 1.5 kilometres to get to a far reach of the track. It is boring, I guess, for the guys, and sometimes they will carry on like this particular fella here. That's how boring it was for him. Lots of fun and games and pranks. This fella had no idea that they'd blown up this glove and stuck it on his back. And even then, when this guy's smiling for me, he's still got no idea. And when he did find out, there was much laughter. There's a bit of dancing out in the paddock with the team here from Alfa Romeo. I don't know what they were celebrating, end of the year, I guess. But it's also a great opportunity to see the drivers in the paddock really relaxed and with no one else around. Here's Charles showing off his skydiving photos and videos to his crew members. Media-wise, this is a busy day in the media centre. You can see there's lots of photographers. This was on the Saturday. Have a look at it on Tuesday. No one. And the photographers have this left-hand side here, and I counted 11 photographers at testing. Now, normally, you've probably got somewhere around 100 when it comes to a race, and this particular race is even more popular because it's the last race of the year, so there might be 110. So we had hardly anybody in that particular centre. Here's Sir James Bean, not too happy I'm taking his photo, or Russell Batchelor here. Here's Mark Sutton over here, well-known photographer. Leanne from Ireland, Lorenzo here, and Jerry Andre. You may know those names. But in terms of photography, I had pretty much the paddock to myself and a lot of pit lane to myself when the other guys were out at the far end of the track. We had great lunches in the media centre. In fact, better food than we normally get during a race. And this is the sitting area in the Abu Dhabi Media Centre. Very nice it is too. Here's the catering staff. I got them together for a group shot, 70 or so people who are still at the track catering. Now, a lot of the staff are sent home. Perhaps skeleton crews remain because you've only got one car, you've only got probably half of a team there. And then sometimes they bring out people from their head offices that perhaps haven't had a chance to do anything at the track, and they bring them out for testing. I found the press officers all having a get-together here from, I think this is almost every team here. There might be one or two missing, but the vast majority there with different coloured shirts on, just having a chat for end of year. The thing that I did notice was a couple of the drivers wore plain suits. They didn't wear their normal race suits. Kimmy here is in an all-black affair with a bit of red. Now, this was actually a test suit. It's a little bit lighter than normal, and he was testing that to see how it went. Lando Norris was dressed in pretty much all white. Esteban Ocon just had a plain black suit from Alpine Stars here with a Renault logo. And I didn't get a photo, but he came in with a hat on the first day that says, "I'm the new boy, say hi," or "It's my first day, say hi." And it was a funny, funny hat. A couple of people got that shot, but I was a little bit late in, and unfortunately I was the one to miss it. The other thing is we get younger drivers, F2 drivers, who are here for F2 testing, which takes place on the Thursday and Friday after the Tuesday and Wednesday of testing for F1. So we had Mick Schumacher, we had Giuliano Alessi, the son of Jean Alesi. This is Callum Illett, a British driver who hopes to be in F1 in the next couple of years. He's sitting in the back of the Ferrari garage with Andrea Ferrari, who is Charles's trainer. And this young fella, Robert Schwartzman, is an up-and-comer, once again in the Ferrari Junior program. The other good thing about testing is that I don't normally have the opportunity to stand on pit wall. There's only 6 or so photographers that get that opportunity during any of the sessions. So to be able to come out on pit wall, come and shoot the cars coming out, come and shoot on the track where you get this reflection shot because there's glass on the pit wall here, and another shot of Valtteri Bottas, is pretty rare. And of course you can get a shot like this, standing with the camera low, seeing in the background this beautiful stand. And if you have a look up here, there's an area there that we would never ever during a race or a racing weekend get access to, but we were allowed to for testing because that's all finished and there's no corporate hospitality up there anymore. So we can go and stand on the top, shoot down on the cars coming out, shoot the cars on the track here as well. And going down to where the cars come out onto the track, so they go underneath the track here as they exit pit lane, it allows us to shoot back up the hill. Now normally we're not allowed to stand here during a race, but because these cars aren't going full pelt and it's all pretty relaxed, there's an opportunity for us to stand behind this barrier, shoot up the incline here, or decline if you're coming down, and get a shot like this at sunset. Now, I didn't purposely go out and shoot any of these shots because you can get a similar shot by standing here during FP1, 2, 3 or even the race. But up here, and you can't see it now because it's been taken away, are 2 poles that stand up right here, and there's some cabling that goes across here, and that carries that camera that you see run down the pit lane. Now that's disappeared because of the fact that that's packed up on the Sunday night. So you get a clean shot. It allows you to get this shot here, although there is still in the background here a marshal's hub. But if you come this direction and then crop slightly, which you can easily do by doing that. Bang, you get rid of it. And that's Esteban Ocon in the number 31 car. It also gives us an opportunity to shoot really close in the pit lane, the cars when they stop. Now, I don't know whether you've ever noticed this, but I noticed it in testing, was this green light up here, and over here is a purple light, and if I zoom in, you can see it's purple. And I asked a couple of guys what that was, and I found out, and I think you'll be interested to know if you don't know this, it's to do with if the car is live, electrically wise. So I believe that there, because it is purple, you're not to touch the car. Here, green, no problem at all. So I learned something there. And also asked these guys, what the hell goes on here with this little pink thing that the racing point cars run? And I was told there's two cameras, one here, one there, and this is on both sides, and they point down at the tyres so that their crew can see tyre degradation, wear and tear, etc. I also had a look at the McLaren, and they too have a setup that has cameras in those particular positions, although it's not anywhere near as eloquent or perhaps as aerodynamic as what you're seeing here. Now, if you're a fan and you manage to get into the paddock, and I don't even know how that would be possible because it's a closed affair, you'll have no problems getting autographs from drivers because they're not being hassled. I think I only saw 2 or 3 people ask Charles for an autograph throughout the whole day, although they're not as visible as you'd like, the drivers. It's mainly when they come into the track, when they go out to their car for the first session, when they come back for lunch, when they go out, and at the end of the day. But yes, if you're in there, you'll probably get an autograph. I think I saw 3 or 4 people bother Charles for an autograph, and he was more than happy to sign it because that might be 50 or 100 on a normal day. I also caught him having a chat with George Russell's parents as he left the circuit. He left a little bit earlier, as I mentioned, because of the fact that he crashed out. But this was the first time I'd met George's parents. I found Lando Norris dining outside al fresco style, and a lot of the drivers will do that because there's no one around to bother them, and only a few photographers to shoot them. But I was an invited guest, so I don't think I was imposing at all for Lando and John Malvin, his trainer, in the background. Actually, I'll go back to a story here because I'd waited for some time for Lando to come out, and you never know quite what time they are going to finish their session. So I just hung around there. I'd probably invested 15 or 20 minutes waiting. And next thing you know, I hear a whistle from John. And John was actually alerting me to the fact that, hey, we're out. And I know him reasonably well. And he did me the courtesy of letting me know that they'd already gone a few metres and I should turn around and take a shot of him, which I did. And then Lando was having a bit of fun trying his whistling. I'm not sure he had quite the ability of his trainer. On more Lando topic, I didn't know that he would be at the track on Wednesday because he tested on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, I rolled up to find him in the pit lane with his phone. And as I walked towards him, he had that on me. And then I got chatting to him and I asked him, are you doing a live stream? Because I figured that's what he was doing. He said, yes, I'm live streaming on Twitch. And he had quite an audience. And this is his, or one of his press officers, Charlotte. And I could see here all the comments coming up. And it was quite interesting to watch because he put me on at one stage, as I am here. And I had a look at the comments afterwards, and it was quite funny. Some people knew my name, which he was well and truly surprised at. But this was the most comment that he got when I put these pictures up. What's wrong with his phone? Because it's a right royal mess. Front and back are scratched quite considerably. So yeah, he ended up doing about a 26-minute video. And at one stage I said, are you going to pop your head out in the gap so that I can get this? Well, it's an obvious shot. Everybody gets this shot when they stick their head out through the gap in the fence. And yeah, I did with quite wide eyes was Lando. And finally, at the end of the day, Charles is leaving and I thought I'll follow him out. There was no one around. And as he got close to me, I said, come on, Charles, last photo of the year. What do you got for me? And I get that. So it was a great end of the day. And then he continued on as per normal. After that, all the trucks move in, everything's packed up for F1, all that F1 gear disappears, and it's left for the F2 crew to move in on Thursday and Friday for their testing. So hopefully you've learned a little bit more about post-season testing in Abu Dhabi. I enjoyed it. I find it a great opportunity to get close to the drivers, to get shots you couldn't normally get during a race weekend because those cars are on track for such a long time. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future YouTube videos. Your comments are always appreciated. You can own any of my images at prostarpics.com. My blogs and podcasts, you'll find them at kimillman.com. And over the off-season, I'll be posting regularly on my Instagram channel at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate.